let's go ahead and talk about this book.
Sure.
We have Venom number 21. This is written by Donny Cates.
Sir Cates.
This is the brand new storyline coming off of the Carnage thing that was going on. This is the Venom Island storyline. I don't exactly know how many parts this is, but this is starting a brand new thing. You can jump on and go from here.
Absolutely.
So you read this book.
I did.
Can you talk a little bit about it?
Yeah. So it kind of, like you just said, it starts up at the end of the whole Absolute Carnage storyline. And if you haven't read that yet, just spoilers. Basically, Eddie Brock had to make a decision.
Yeah.
Either allow his son to be killed by Carnage, or to actually absorb Carnage into himself, which at that point would allow Null to come to Earth and destroy Earth. And he makes the decision to save his son. And now he's living in the aftermath of that decision. And he's got a son who doesn't really care about the thing that he just did for him. He's kind of like trying to push him away. Yeah. And in the aftermath, as he's contemplating this decision that he's made, Carnage is in there with him, and in some cases actually takes over him in some spots. And he realizes, I need to do something about this before this whole Null thing happens. Yeah. And he goes to Venom Island. That's basically where he's going to go next, to Venom Island, to isolate himself so that he can get rid of Carnage for good. That's kind of the premise of it.
Sure. So his son is Dylan.
Yes.
Correct? So Dylan was a major thing on Absolute Carnage. I mean, the last few books is pretty much talking about him for the most part. It sounds like in this series, and pretty much I think this book is mainly a setup for this Venom Island storyline.
Right.
Not too much happens.
No.
Let's just be honest. The one thing I did like about it is Mark Bagley is doing the artwork.
Insanely great artwork.
Yeah, it's awesome Mark Bagley stuff. And then obviously, like we said, Donny Cates is writing it.
Yeah.
So I'm very curious to see this combination working together. I don't know what Bagley's signed on to do, whether he's doing the next issue or not. I hope he does.
I hope he does too.
Yeah, I love his artwork. But this book was basically, and we're going to get into some spoilers, not some major spoilers, but like I said, this book really was just setting up what's going on.
Right.
The conflict, like you mentioned, is going to be literally having Venom and Carnage in your head at the same time.
Right.
That's what it is. That's what he has to deal with. He makes the decision that this is probably not going to go well if he hangs out with this family or whatever, who they're involved with. So he's basically, I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
And he needs to leave the area because he knows the internal conflict, whether they sprout up, I don't know what's going to happen for sure.
Right.
It's going to be a huge conflict.
Right.
The one thing about this book, and I think this kind of goes back to the previous storyline with the Null, okay? They left that open to where they're not even, like, he's on his way. I don't know when, but he's on his way and he's coming. And I think there's been a lot of drag on that thing.
Sure.
And from the looks of this series, we're going to get more drag on when that character finally shows up. Now, is he going to show up during this Venom Island storyline? I don't think he is.
I don't think he is either. I mean, Donny Cates was writing on Guardians of the Galaxy. He also did Silver Surfer Black. Both of those have referenced Null.
Yeah.
The Absolute Carnage, very Null-centric. He's writing the new Thor book.
Yeah.
I guarantee you that's going to reference Null.
Sure.
And so they're setting up the next big major event.
Yeah.
And I don't think we're going to get any payoff on that until he's got everything all set up. It's all just getting it set up for that big event.
Yeah. All in all, this is not going to be a long review because there really wasn't much in this book.
It really wasn't.
To get into the meat and potatoes of it. It was pretty much he made that decision. He's going to leave. He's going to the island. Some conflict is going to come up or whatnot, and that's it.
Right.
That's what this book delivers.
One of the things I will say is that, because it is Donny Cates writing, and he's a very good writer, even though nothing really happens inside of the book, the flow of it was really nice. Yeah. And it's actually a pretty quick read, and the dialogue was great.
Yeah.
And so even though nothing happens, I think it was a very good read.
Yeah, I liked listening to Venom and Carnage argue with each other.
That was great.
That was pretty cool. I mean, it was happening all throughout the book. They're just, because they're in his head. They're there, and they're trying to take control.
Absolutely.
Over Eddie Brock.
And I think that's the crux of his decision to go, is because there's times, correct me if I'm wrong, there's times when Venom can't really speak to him because Carnage is in the way, and that's kind of an out of control thing.
Yeah.
And so I liked it.
I like the aspect of it. I'm curious to see what he does with that. You know, it's kind of a different thing. You know, the voices in your head. Obviously, they're more than just voices in your head.
Right.
But like I said before, the main thing I took from this book, it's setting up the Venom Island.
For sure.
Seems like it's going to be an interesting story. Like I said, I don't think Noel's going to show up in this.
No.
But the Mark Bagley, having him doing the art,
So
I loved it. I loved the book. I was like, I'm looking at good old 90s stuff.
Come on.
You know, and
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that. So the story was basic, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a bad word now. I think some kids say basic is a bad word. But it wasn't like, you know, it was just, here it is. Here's what's going on. We just came off this event. Let's take a little breather and set this kind of up.
Exactly.
So.
And I think it's a smart move. I mean, if Bagley does do the titles going forward, just like you said, it gives that old 90s feel. And the whole Venom Island thing took place right there in the 90s,
Yeah.
you know, when they first referenced that. And I think it was in Lethal Protector,
Yeah.
right? And so, you know, having Bagley come into it, I think is a smart move.
Yeah. All in all, it's average book with a little bump plus for Mark Bagley art.
Absolutely. And Donny Cates writing.
Very much.
Yeah.